Hello everyone, the 18th episode is here and with it the LA Rams. Welcome to the Road to Superbowl podcast, episode 18, Los Angeles Rams. For you guys that are new here, let's tell you a bit about what are we doing on this channel and on this podcast. So we talk football. I love football and I want to share my passion with you. In this series, I do it by taking you behind the eyes of general managers across every single team there is in the NFL, and we are trying to give you more of a perspective about not only how good the players are and will they win 7 games, 8 games or whatever, but it's more about okay, we need to know how good our players are, yes, but we need to know what's their window. Where do we have to pay them? Are they on a bad contracts? How does their window align with our windows? When I'm talking our window, I honestly mean like when can I get the most production by subtracting to the cap hit, because obviously cap hit is a big thing, and you just cannot have the best players to every position because you would not be able to pay them according to cap hit. So in order to do that, you need to assess your players, but you need to assess their contracts, and that's also what we are doing here. We will also talk about what each and every team did last year, what they have done in free agency, what they could or should do for the draft, and for every team we have some topics that are worth discussing more than the usual rundown draft and free agency. So for LA Rams, these topics are Aaron Donald and his retirement, the explosive offense, and kind of typical McVay of season where he loses his staff, So these topics, they can be either discussed as like a specific topics that we will just focus on, for example, right now, or we will mention them during the process of running down the roster, which we do by addressing weaponry, where you count running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends. O-line, aka offensive line, is kind of self-explanatory. Defensive line, we also include linebackers there. Secondary contains cornerbacks and safeties. And with coaches, we also take a brief look at their special teams. So here, I want to start talking about Aaron Donald's retirement because, that actually caught me by surprise. And we will talk about what this means to Rams' chances, Rams' window, Rams' defense in the rundown portion of this video. But here I wanted to talk about why, despite this being actually spoken about, like even in previous years, it actually caught me by surprise. And the reason behind it is, when I look at the possibilities to retire for Aaron Donald, I just did not think that this is the year. Because, okay, retiring after winning Super Bowl, I mean, yeah, why not? You are leaving on the top of your game as an undoubtable Hall of Famer, guy who changes kind of his position, or definitely changed the landscape, and even he was not a pretty prototypical defensive lineman given how small he is. And then the 2022 is like, all right, we want to run it back. All right, that it seems logical that you want to be part of it. So okay, I understand why he did not retire after Super Bowl. But given the fact that 2022 was a disaster, he himself has dealt with injuries, it was clear that the Rams are entering the rebuild for 2023. They pretty much were to start like 20 rookies out of like 53 guys on the roster. And it was like nobody had any expectations for 2023 for Rams. Like on so many like grades or so many like power rankings that were like 30, 31, It was like you have 3 guys. You have Matthew Stafford, you have Cooper Kupp, you have Aaron Donald. All of them dealt with injuries in 2022. Cooper Kupp is not going to be back for start of the season. Why are you not retiring, Aaron? Like, you've dealt with injuries. You are obviously not 100%. Why not retire now? And before you, like, if you want to bring up money, I feel like Aaron, up to, I don't know, age 35, 36, it's always, when he retires, he would always leave some big portion of money on the table. So I don't think money is necessarily the reason why he should prolong career or he should retire a year early. I feel like he earned a lot, and to me, he was not chasing money at any point of like this couple of seasons that we've mentioned. But entering 2024, he decides to retire, and I'm like, man, I was actually worried about this Rams team quite heavily. I thought that they could do something special. I mean, they were, I feel like, a little bit unlucky, maybe bad call by the refs from beating the Lions. Lions, as you know, were really chasing San Francisco in that playoff game, and they definitely could have advanced. So, could Rams have done it? I'm not opposing that, man. I really feel like if they have moved past Lions, they could have made some noise, which nobody expected. And I feel like if they somehow went and won the Super Bowl, I would compare that to like Leicester winning Premier League like 10 years ago. I feel like it would be that kind of a shock from both betting perspective, like team that nobody expected to win, actually doing it. But coming back to Aaron, it's like, why retire now? Like now you actually have a chance. I feel like Rams with Aaron did have quite a nice chance to actually win the whole conference, because I mean they almost done it last year, with a bunch of rookies. Now they've entered off season. They actually have a first round pick for like first time in like in several years. Obviously they had one last year, but before that they did traded them away. And you have a bunch of exciting players that just emerged last season. So unless it's injuries, I am not sure. It could be that he wanted to retire before 2023, but he was like, man, I cannot leave this team in such a mess. I need to help them develop. And to me, he is such a high character guy that I would believe that. Like, there's not that many players that I would believe that they are not retiring because they just want to help their team to not suck. But with Aaron, I would believe that. But overall, this is a huge loss for the league. It's obviously kind of happy news for Seattle quarterbacks and Seattle O-line, in terms of like, yeah, they're not gonna get embarrassed and run to ground twice a year that Aaron used to do quite easily the last couple of years. But for the league, it's a huge loss, and it kind of sucks that I'm not saying it's like takes anything away from like Jason Kelce retirement, but he is now number 2 guy retiring this offseason, which is like crazy because he is one of the best centers that's ever played the game. But I feel like in terms of how impactful they were for their position and for the defense or offensive side of the ball, I feel like Aaron just has a step on Jason, and I absolutely love Jason. I absolutely love Aaron. They are both Hall of Famer, absolutely for certain. And yeah, it just sucks, man, losing these two guys. Also, it was like Jason Kelce mentioning that the only player they ever double team, despite having quite exceptional O-lines down there in Philly, it was Aaron Donald, Like, despite having Kelce, despite having Dickerson, Mailata, and all these guys, there was one guy they always had to double team in order to prevent him to just wreck their game plan, and that was Aaron Donald. So, what is can he get a higher praise than this? I don't think so. So that really sucks for Rams. How it impacts their defense, we will talk about it later, but I wanted to start with Aaron first. Then we go and we will talk about the 2023 season. Like I said, it was full of surprises for the Rams. Week 1, coming to Seattle, beating us. I was really surprised. I thought like, what is this? It was kind of, early showings that our defense is actually not good and the Rams are a real deal. They went on to run later in the season to make the playoffs. They only lost to Ravens during that run. in games that matter, and it was just only on overtime, and they were really close to winning that game. Then Lions, very close playoff games. I mean, for Rams, like that was as good a season as I don't think anyone could even dream of. Like they were exceptional. A lot of players that they just gave chance, they just hit on them. They found the new stars in Puka Nacua and Kyren Williams. Matthew Stafford even like actually had a great season, maybe his best like since Superbowl, and even there it was more like playoff Matthew Stafford was exceptional, not necessarily the regular season Matthew. And I mean, what is there to say? Like there is so many interesting players that they were thrown. Like guys, yeah, now it's time to play, and they delivered. Like the defense was supposed to be Aaron Donald and nothing, but they actually were kind of middle of the pack. And then you have offense that we will talk about a lot because it's a very interesting conversation, and they were really, really great. So for Rams, for Sean McVay, I feel like 2023 was season to remember. It almost, like I would like to praise Sean McVay for that season even more than I would praise him for the Super Bowl season. Like I feel like that's how great they were compared to expectation, compared to what kind of caliber players that they should have had. Yeah, I feel like that could be a praise that I won't take back. Like I really feel they were, like given expectations, they were even better last year than they were in their Super Bowl run. But that kind of covers the 2023 season, and with free agents, we're gonna more implement them into the rundown of the roster rather than making it a topic here, because it's not like they had super many impactful signings that we would need to address as like an entire chapter here. So let's start with a rundown, and we will start with weaponry. For you guys that are new to this channel, how do we do it here? First, we will show you player cards that are creation of this channel, and on these cards you get to know your players. We won't put everyone out there, it's just the guys that were on the roster for 2023, could have been or have been resigned or were signed as free agents. So I try to only put here guys that I believe were impactful or will be impactful. I won't cover every single one. I will definitely miss several high risers, etc. Sometimes that's gonna happen, but overall this should cover like 90-95% of impactful players for 2024 season, besides the rookies that will come out of the draft. So we'll start. You can put your glasses on, and now it's the time to check your screen if you want to meet your players. So for Rams, it's Matthew Stafford, Kyren Williams, Jimmy Garoppolo, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, Puka Nacua, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, Ben Skowronek, Colby Parkinson, Tutu Atwell again if you did not have enough of him, and Davis Allen. So here, what I'm going to show you here, you know guys, if you have already been here, if you're not, here is how these guys were on the payroll for before the free agency started, and here is where we are right now. So they pretty much did two things in terms of free agency to improve their offense, and that was bringing Jimmy Garoppolo as a backup on 1 year deal and bringing Colby Parkinson as a stable part of this offense. Both of the moves I feel like are reasonable, like you are getting experienced QB to be your backup for $3 million. Why the hell not? With Colby, as a Seahawks fan, I appreciated him. I don't feel like he necessarily got all the opportunities he deserved, because we kind of had three good enough starting caliber tight ends when you combine it with Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Jason Smith and Jigba. Also, when you have like two serviceable running backs, he did not see the field as often as he perhaps should, and I feel like this could be a nice place for him to go. With maybe you can look at Tyler Higbee contract and decide to eventually get rid of him, because Davis Allen had actually quite a nice season as a rookie. Okay, let's talk about these guys as a group, how they rank, how do I feel about them. I mean, to me, Matthew Stafford is tier 2 QB. I don't rank him as a tier 1. In tier 1 I have Lamar, I have Joe, I have Josh Allen, I have these three guys as an elite tier: Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Then there is, like, to me, potential GOAT category, where you have your Patrick Mahomes. And then in tier 2, you have your Jalen Hurts, you have your Matthew Stafford. We might talk about Aaron Rodgers in this category. In some cases, Jared Goff definitely could be talked about in this group. Justin Herbert. That's the tier when I am comfortable to put Matthew Stafford in. I think he's an amazing starter. I don't feel like he is the best or top 5 quarterbacks in the league, as I mentioned them, but he is the closest thing to them there is. And for this cap hit, you are absolutely happy to pay such a great guy this type of money. I'm absolutely okay with that. I don't think this is overpaid by any stretch of imagination. Jimmy, I already talked, he is great backup. And then let's go to running backs. I think like there's one name to mention, and that's Kyren Williams. I mean, what a year for him. Like, he was just running through defenses with his small size, with his low speed, with his low weight. He was just running through them yet. Like, he has no business being as good as he is. Like, I would put him to this. And when we will talk about online, I will mention his name once more, because he might even have a room to progress next season. Obviously, the health could be a concern for him, as is for Puka, as is for Cooper, as is for Matthew Stafford. Pretty much every top player here has a bit of a injury history. With Puka, it's coming to college, not necessarily his rookie year in the NFL. But I'm excited about Kyren's future, and they have him for 2 years on a rookie deal. Yeah, that sucks for Seahawks. Okay, then you have Cooper Kupp. He had a down year after injuries. He was kind of wide receiver number 2 behind Puka, even when he came back from the injuries. But he's still an amazing player. He is still a huge influence for this offense, because not only he is like great and at wide receiver things, he is one of the best blockers for this offense, and that's actually a huge part of this offense. The running game, especially the way they are designing it now, and we will talk about it more with O-line. The fact that you have Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, 2 exceptional wide receivers in wide receiver things, in a way, also willing to block their asses off, that's great news for the Rams. When we talk about Puka, like, what is there to say? He had such an impressive rookie season, break several records for a rookie wide receiver. Like, if there was no CJ Stroud, he was runaway candidate for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, even with CJ Stroud, like, I feel like he could have gotten it. But it's like, every time quarterback can win an award, he is most likely going to win. And I don't want to take anything away from CJ. He was amazing. But I would argue that Puka was even better wide receiver than CJ was QB, quarterback, and like, given the draft pedigree, it's even more impressive. But I don't want to take anything away from any of these guys. Both Puka and CJ were incredible. So with Puka and Cooper, you have one of the best wide receiver number 2, number 1 duo. Behind that, the depth is solid. I mean, DeMarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, and Betts Kovanec. They are decent players. I'm not... I don't have many hopes with them, like, in terms of they should progress. I feel like they could come back for 2025 on, like, kind of moderate type of deals if they prove themselves this year as the wide receiver number 3 or even number 4 type. And that's definitely a group that as Rams you definitely do not need to invest this offseason, because I feel like with Robinson at Valencia running, you have a couple of guys that could be happy to come back for next year's on kind of team-friendly, not high amount of money deals behind Cooper and Puka. With tight ends, again, this room is quite nice. It's definitely the worst room here, but Tyler Higbee is still like good player. He is definitely on downwards trajectory, so I do expect either Colby or Davis Allen to overcome him this season. But overall you have your experienced former great player, now just a good one. You have Colby who can have a breakout year, and you have Davis who had good rookie season. Like, for the money we're paying, you have a nice room. What do you want? Like for tight ends, this is good. Overall, this group is great. I would say, like, in terms of grades, I would give them A-. I mean, there is not that much, that maybe even an A. Like, it's one of the best groups in the league for sure, in terms of this. The concerns are health, and obviously with Puka and Kyren, was this who they are? Was this a fluke year? Like, I would bet my money that it wasn't, but obviously they don't have huge draft pedigree. This was their first totally breakout year for both of them. I mean, with Puka, he had some breakout years, even like with his college career, but it was shattered by injuries. Overall, like, you are super happy, and this offense, man, like, we will talk about it after we talk the O-line. So now it's the time to put your glasses back on, because you are about to meet the offensive line of LA Rams. I will give you guys a couple of seconds to do that. Are you ready? So let's go. Rob Havenstein, Alaric Jackson, Joseph Noteboom, Coleman Shelton, Steve Avila, Kevin Dotson, and Jonah Jackson. So here we were before the offseason started, and here we are right now. So what they have done is they have restructured deal for Noteboom, added some void years. No, just restructured the deal for Noteboom, and brought back Kevin Dotson on a 3-year, like, what is it, 48 type of millions, maybe 50. Is it 50? Yeah, something about that. It's like 16 millions a year type of deal. And as NFL does the right thing, they've had to increase Alaric Jackson's salary, because of he was an overperforming, not a first round pick. Okay, what should I say about this O-line? In terms of tackles, you are actually not doing exceptional. I think Havenstein is like, still serviceable right tackle, but not necessarily the guy that he used to be. He's gonna be good for them, but that was my mouth, guys. It was not something else. Do I feel like he is gonna be a star that he might have been in years past? No. I feel like he's just gonna be good. He could be solid, but not a guy that you necessarily expect to lift this offensive line. But you have these expectations with the inside trio of Jonah Jackson, Kevin Dotson, and Steve Avila. With Steve Avila, you definitely have a guy that's had good, quite nice rookie season, and he is definitely on the upwards trajectory. And it's not like they're like super exceptional players. Like Kevin Dotson was. He was given to them by the Steelers for pretty much nothing before last season, and man, what a mistake that was. But what you have with these guys on the interior, you have 3 huge pieces that will, be ahead. You also have like Coleman Shelton, who I don't have here, but he is a center. And those guys are one of the biggest inside guys in terms of league. And what that gives you is potential for absolutely, they released Coleman Shelton, I'm sorry. But with these three guys, you have potential to absolutely demolish running game through the inside. Like, these guys are very good run blockers and they are huge. And when you have a guy like Kyron Williams behind them, who is like super small compared to them, he could definitely use this to his advantage, because he's just gonna get lost from vision behind these huge guys. And then you have on left tackle Joseph Noteboom or Alaric Jackson. Neither of them are great, but they are solid pieces that you have, and they could be your weaklings. But with Jackson, you feel like you have a potential to improve, and with Notebook, you should have like a decent floor. So overall, there is quite an interesting, like, I feel like these players are gonna perform for this offense better than they're ranked to do, because of the way they're gonna be used, So I am like super excited about this offense. Like, not facing them as the Seahawks, but overall, when you think about this, they can destroy you both ways. With Matthew Stafford and his arm, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp as two exceptional weapons. That's something you have to take care of. But those two guys, when they are on the field together, they are exceptional blockers. You already have O-line that's quite good against run in terms of their run blocking. And they are so massive, man. Like, they could legit be a huge problem for the line. And I am really excited to watch this offense work. We have healthy Matthew Stafford, healthy Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, the whole of season. This O-line even meshing better. And that's why, again, like, when we come back to Aaron Donald, I thought that with this offense, man, like, if they had Aaron Donald for the defense, they could have been something special. Not necessarily like a top team, but definitely a team that I would not be surprised if they have won it all. This is offense. The O-line, I think it's like B- to C, but for what they will be able to produce, I feel like they're going to be more of a B O-line, because I really feel like in terms of matching with personnel that you have in weaponry, especially Kupp and Puka, I think it could work quite nicely. Overall, this offense is going to be a lot of fun for us to watch. I don't think it's going to be a lot of fun for defensive coordinators to prepare against, because anytime the offense can be due both ways, and it's not like they will tell you, because if Puka and Cooper are out there, you don't know if they want to run the ball or they want to throw it to them. That's the huge beneficiary that you are getting from blocking wide receiver, especially when they are as good in that as Cooper and Puka are. So that's the offense for the Rams. Now let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Again, now it's time to meet the players. So if you want to do that, it's time to bring your attention to your screens and we will give you guys a look. So we will start with number 99, Aaron Donald. I could not resist bringing his Thor muscle type of figure here. Like, that's a lot of muscles, But Aaron is not the only guy on this side of the ball, though he was definitely the most influential one. Other than that, you have Bobby Brown, you have Kobe Turner, You have guys like Byron Young, Mike Hecht, Ernest Jones. And yeah, that's kind of it. There are some other players like Bobby Brown, who, yeah, we've mentioned. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's not like there have been that many players that like stood out to me, because it still was like a bunch of guys and Aaron Donald. And who they are right now. Well, they've lost Aaron Donald, and beside that, this group is not exceptional, but like they are much better than you would thought about them like a year ago. Obviously, with Aaron, like, you are missing one of the best defensive tackles of all time. Still, he would rank in my top 3 for the position. Though guys like Chris Jones, Dexter Lawrence, Quentin Williams, they are definitely emerging to try to take his throne down, and he definitely has his successors in line. Guys, if you hear any weird noises, not noises, I have 2 young kittens here, and they like to play. Sometimes they are a bit too much excited about some of my things and try to push them down, as you know, with all the cats. But let's go back to the players. Kobe Turner, let's start with him, because he was such a menace as a rookie, especially later in the year. He is like a baby Aaron Donald. Like, he is undersized, but he was great, man. Like, this duo was, especially late in the season, they were so fun to watch. And with all the players here, the question is, okay, you overperformed what we expected of you last year. Like, someone by just a foot or 2, some by like 5 feet, you know. So, for example, Kobe really outperformed everyone's expectation. But can you do that without Aaron Donald? Because without Aaron, what you are missing, especially for a guy like Kobe, you are missing a mentor. Because if there was a special pairing for Kobe to learn the position, learn how to take advantage of his size that is smaller than your average defensive tackles, like, there is no one else but Aaron Donald to teach you that. Like, did he teach you enough, you know? Also, what you are missing is the presence of Aaron Donald in terms of leadership, and then his actual presence on the field that demands double team or even triple teams. It demands attention from every single offensive line in the league. And when I mentioned earlier Jason Kelce, who also retired this offseason, like, he just gave Aaron the biggest praise that I feel like anyone could have. He said, there's one single guy that every time we played against him, we had special meetings for him. We knew we had to double team him just only for him to absolutely not wreck our game plan. And if you are getting said that by one of the best centers that ever played the game, that he was part of great O-lines, even exceptional O-lines, and still this guy was such a boogeyman for them that they had to double team or even triple team him, not to eliminate him necessarily out of the game, but just not to allow him to wreck it. I mean, that's huge. And obviously that unleashes other players around him, because they will have more one-on-one matchup, more mismatches. So can this D-line perform without Aaron Donald? I think that's the biggest question mark you have for Rams this season. And man, it sucks to have it. Like, if Aaron was here, this line, I would grade them B to B minus, because you still, it's not like you have exceptional guys beside him, but all of these guys have potential. All of these guys would benefit greatly from having Aaron Hill. So if they perform like they did last year, they should be still formidable. You know, guys like Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Ernest Jones, they are not bad players by any means but were they better just because Aaron was there? And will we see them maybe regress to how we feel about them? And if we do, this Rams D-line is actually going to be a problem because you don't have your top edge guy. You don't have your elite guys anywhere. So if the guys were only looking great because of Aaron Donald's presence, because they could have these favorable matchups to them, and they cannot provide this team with the same level of performance that they did last year, then the Rams D-line could be in trouble. And I feel like this is definitely a position that Rams should, and I feel like they will address in the draft. But let's be a bit positive also. If these guys continue to develop as they did last year, and it's like, okay, Aaron was here, he teaches us all, now it's all on us, we can do it, guys, and they can, I believe they can, we can talk about this as actually, I would not call them strength, even if they continue to develop, because I think they have a long way to go to match a group like weaponry for the Rams in terms of quality. But they could be quite an exciting group. So a lot of different outcomes, definitely the biggest question mark for me. And I definitely thought that there's going to be a secondary, but we will get to them. I think edge is definitely a priority in the draft for the Rams. And we will see, Is Kobe actually mini Aaron Donald? Can he continue to develop into a big time guy? We will see. We will see, guys. If you want my predictions on if that's going to be the case, I think they will be serviceable. I feel like they won't develop as much as hoped, and in some cases I feel like we will see guy being looked at worse than he is right now. But it's just my prediction. I'm not a prophet, so we will see how this ages. Also, you might have noticed that I'm not talking about the salaries here because you're literally paying nothing there. There's 10 million in cap hit beside Aaron Donald, who has, this is his dead cap hit. There are several sources that have this a bit differently. I'm taking this one from Sportrack. It should be that he has 25 million in dead cap this year and 38.5 next year, or they can divide it into 2 years of 19 millions for 25 and 26. There is also some possibilities for him if he returns, then this kind of gets negated. There are several things regarding that. I have found different interpretation of this contract, but this is the one I go with, and it's obviously a huge sum of money that you have against that cap hit. It's more than 60 million. It's not necessarily Russell Wilson's type of money, but it's getting there. So obviously that's another reason why Aaron Donald's retiring sucks, because he was on hook for a lot of money, and most of them do convert into that cap hit. It's not like he didn't have that in his contract, unfortunately for the Rams. So that was your defensive line, and your linebackers. It's pretty much Ernest Jones only. That is interesting to talk for that group. And now it's the time to meet the secondary. So for you guys, it's time to put your glasses back on and take your attention to the screen. And when you are ready, we will start with Jacoby Durant, Darian Kendricks, Akilo Witherspoon, Quentin Lake, Russ East, Jordan Fuller, and that's it. Again, this was what this group looked like before the offseason started, and here we are right now. So let's now you guys can only listen. So when you see this secondary, it's obviously what I talked about for 2023 was, let's put a lot of guys out there and, show us if you can play. And I think for Durant, Kendrick, Lake, and East, they showed that they can. It's not like necessarily you are super happy with them as a starters, but they proved that if they are out there, they are capable players. They are good backups. Some of them can develop into starters. Some of them will be your number 3 safety, number 4 cornerbacks, and that's good. They got the experience. They did not boom their way out of NFL, and they are a good group to have. But you knew that this is not enough when you want to compete. You need to bring a couple of players to this group. So last year you were not planning on competing, so you were okay with them being your starters, but you've addressed this position, and I feel like you've addressed this quite nicely. So let's talk about Darius Williams coming back to the Rams for 3 years, 24 millions, or 23. I mean, it seems like a discount price to me. You've got great player, nice deal for the Rams. Yeah, I'm not gonna repeat myself, like they wish Aaron was still here, because the secondary is actually looking quite nice when you also add Tre'Davious White into the mix, who was released by the Bills. This was the move that I actually expected to happen with the Bills of season, because of the amount of money they could have saved by this move. But taking a flyer on him, which actually should not be 8.5 million, which I have here, which was either early reported or I have it poorly written. But what it is, it should be more of 1 year 4.25 millions. There must be a reason why I have this, and why it's also like half of the contract that is here. Yeah, I'm not super sure about this guy. I will let you know down in the comments later when I figure this one out. But even for this price, I would have taken him. I think he's a good player. He struggles with health. If you get his healthy version, he's definitely worth the money, and I think like he is guy worth trying to resurrect in a way, trying to trust him that he can stay healthy. So this cornerback room now looks quite nice. You don't have huge problems. You have your 2 top guys and you have your 2 backups. Yeah, that's fine. And Cameron Curl adding here 2 years, 9 millions. I mean, safety market is really shit right now. Like, they are not getting paid. Getting Cameron for this price, I feel like, like a year ago, I would consider this a steal. Right now, it just seems like, well, this is the market. So, man, this does not look great for the future of safeties in the league. But obviously, it is what it is, man. Like nothing you can do. You just move with the flow. And again, with him, Quentin Lang, Russ East, you have nice group. Not necessarily anything special. This secondary is not special, but it should not be a problem. And you've definitely addressed the way that I thought it deserved. And yeah, you've created quite a nice version of the secondary when you still have guys that they can improve. You have some veterans coming in, and the matching of guys on the upside with the upside, and guys maybe trending in the wrong direction, maybe dealing with some injuries. It should create like a nice middle of the pack group. Nothing special, nothing that should be heavily problematic. And now let's talk about the coaching tree and the special teams. So where are we on this? So when I talk about typical McVay of season, what I mean by that is he's getting poached, stolen, or just taken away. How it's just up to you how you want to phrase it in terms of like emotional stuff. But there's almost no off season when Rams coordinators are staying, both of them. So Raheem Morris went and took Atlanta head coaching job. It's also several players or several coaching staff members went with him. And yeah, there's a lot of guys leaving. But you have Chris Shula here, who is the grandson of Don Shula, one of the, like, it is such a legendary family name, just like pretty much, you can talk this about McVay's, you can talk that about LaFleur's at this point almost. Like, it's not on the Shula level, okay, like, obviously, but yeah, all three names are actually names that you can assign to NFL, and you are pretty much always right. He was with the Rams, he is with the Rams since 2017. He's just been promoted, and yeah, you have to trust him. I like whether it's pedigree of a family or just the fact that he is here for several years. He knows the system. He should be a good successor to Raheem Morris, but it's definitely a bit of a loss. And then you have Mike LaFleur, who, like, he's not necessarily responsible for the offense. It's more Sean McVay thing. But Mike definitely, that's why he's also in the picture. I could not resist this because he is kind of like sitting on his shoulder or whatever. But these two guys last year combined for one of the most exciting offenses in the league. And I feel they will continue to do that. That's why I was praising like the use of the O-line. I think it's going to be much better than these guys actually should be. Also, with Mike, you should know by now who his older brother is, with Matt LaFleur obviously being the head coach of Green Bay Packers. So, legendary names, great coaches, I think. Obviously, the one question mark is on Chris Shula. Because like with Mike, you always can count on, well, there's still Sean McVay, so, I don't want to put Mike into the bin, but even if I was sitting there, I would not be worried about the offense because of Sean McVay. With Chris, you don't know what you get, especially without Aaron Donald, who was kind of a cheat code for every defensive coordinator because, how much attention he demanded. So we will see. Definitely defense is question mark. If they continue to develop, this team is going to be very, very interesting. If they don't, at least their games could be really fun. Like they could. Do I call it that they might have a 100 points game if the defense sucks? Okay, let's just call it. I feel like they could be part of 100 points offense type of game this year. And how do we stand with the special teams? You have Ethan Evans, who as a rookie was outstanding. And will he repeat that? You definitely hope so. He should not be a problem. With Tanner Brown, that's definitely a much bigger question mark. You are moving on from Maher, who was a great kicker for you. And with Tanner, you don't know what you are getting. I would not be surprised if they signed a veteran kicker to compete with Tanner, at least during the training camps, and just to see what they have there. But he is definitely one of the question marks for the Rams. So that's it. We ended the rundown here. Now let's talk about where the Rams are, what they should address in the draft, and how do I view their window. So I thought the window was open. I really thought that they could be a team that threatens to win the Super Bowl. Without Aaron Donald, I just don't see that. It's just such a huge... Yeah. It's just such a huge loss man for them. So I think they could be fun. But I'm not sure what their window actually looks like right now, because while you have these guys on rookie contracts, guys like Puka, Kyron, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, etc., you also have Matthew Stafford still for 3 years. So, like in theory, if everything goes greatly, you can be set for these 3 years to be good every single year. But I think you have to count yourself lucky if Matthew is not injured during that period, if guys actually continue to develop. And I'm not sure that's gonna happen. Like, their window is definitely not closed, but I don't feel like there is a specific season that they can target within this 3-year time span. It seems like they should be good, but I just don't see the peak, you know? Because it could be like the guys going upwards, but maybe Matthew and Cooper actually going downwards because of their age and injuries. So that it's not like necessarily matching great. And it also, when you put San Francisco window into account, who I believe have 2 more years where they are absolutely going to try to win the Super Bowl because they are paying Brock Purdy peanuts, then it's, do you expect Matthew Stafford to still be amazing in 2026 or Cooper? Or do you expect yourself to be better than San Fran within the time span of 2 years? Fifth iron? Yes, maybe. Without, it's a tough order, man. Like, they could actually be a team that, again, is going to be great. They could be, in a way, like Steelers, but missing something that they would make them exceptional in playoffs. I'm not sure that's going to happen because I really feel like they have their strong suit in terms of offense, but the same is for Steelers with defense. And unless their defense improves, I don't feel only the offense can make things up. They are a team to watch for sure, because you still don't know where these guys are heading. Like, you've seen them playing with almost no expectation. You've seen them playing with Aaron Donald when we talk about defensive players. You've seen them played healthy, like Puka was not injured. Can this continue? Can they develop? If they will, the window is going like this, obviously. But do I imagine a future where we're sitting here next year and saying, well, they are probably still good, but I just don't feel like they are it, despite having Sean McVay, despite having Matthew Stafford? I think we can. Like, I feel like this is definitely a version of your future that is probably more likely that maybe people want to admit, given how great they were last year with no expectations and guys on rookie deals. Do I wish it to them? Well, in a point of like being a Seahawks fan, yes, but as a fan of NFL, as a fan of football, I kind of want them to succeed, man. Like, I'm really, really looking forward to see this offense work again. So, a lot of question marks. Would I bet on them, or do I feel like they will win the Super Bowl in the next 3 years? I feel like they would be like a middle of the pack team for me in terms of their chances. But I don't see any year that they kind of will prioritize. Maybe that 2026, because you won't have Aaron Donald's dead cap hit dragging you down a bit. But then it's like, can you get healthy, great Matthew Stafford for 2026? And Cooper Kupp? I like, kind of feels like nothing matches perfectly for them for every single season. Like, this year, it could have been matching if they have Aaron Donald. Without him, you have to figure out this defense like from the scratch in a way, under new defensive coordinator. So do I expect them to be exceptional? No. Next year, you have almost $40 million dead cap hit for Aaron Donald. It's Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp are 1 year older. And then maybe, and within that 2 years, San Francisco should still be exceptional. And then 2026, you don't have Aaron Donald's dead cap hit. Like San Francisco should be, paying for their sins and trying to actually win Super Bowl, pushing money down the line, have to pay Brock Purdy or let him go and figure out the quarterback from the scratch. But again, Matthew and Cooper are 1 year older. Like maybe that's another year where you lost your both coordinates. I don't feel like it matches exceptionally well, despite the great season they had. They definitely have a shot. They, like I said, they are middle of the pack team in terms of my prediction of teams. How I would stack them up, with chances to win Super Bowl in next 3 years. But I just don't see them having any specific year as the year that you should be looking forward to. I see problem each and single year that I'm not sure they will figure out. But that's it for your Rams. Leave me down comments whether you agree or disagree. Aaron, enjoy your retirement. Guys, enjoy this episode. If you did, give me like, give me comments. It helps me, motivates me. And till next time, have a nice day. Bye everyone.